Hello and welcome. I'm joined today by Rees, and we spoke a few weeks ago and decided it might be nice for Menopause Week if we could get together with a quick manager's guide to supporting menopausal colleagues at work. I'm Charman. I run a company called Physic Health Consulting, where I support women who are really struggling with menopause, particularly if they don't want to use HRT or they can't use HRT for whatever reason. And many of them say that they struggle in various ways at work. And although there's been a lot of awareness raising done in the workplace in recent years and things are generally getting better, there's still a lot of room for improvement. So we just thought we'd put together a quick 30 can start supporting your menopausal colleagues at work. So Catherine, would you like to just introduce yourself before we make a start?
Thank you, Hannah. So I'm Rees. I'm an HR consultant for Purely HR Limited, based in Bedfordshire, and I support small businesses in all things HR, from recruitment right the way through to disciplinaries, dismissals, and all things in between. So thank you, Hannah, for inviting me today.
Thank you. Okay, so point number one that we came up with was quite easy, really, just to listen. Even if you can't help, I don't know if you might have read a book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, but what it says is that there are differences in the way that men and women are wired up. You probably figured that out already. But usually if a lady asks for help, she's often, what she really wants is just to be listened to and understood. The fix isn't as important as that feeling of being listened to, nurtured and understood, whereas for men, they tend to want some kind of fix. So don't feel like you have to fix things for her. Obviously, if you can offer help and guidance, that would help. By all means, do that. But it's more important to her that she feels that you're understanding what she's saying and she's got your sympathy. Catherine, do you want to elaborate on that anymore?
No, I absolutely agree with you. It's you know, for a lady to even ask for help is as a massive step, and sometimes she just needs just an ear to listen, and if you can point her in the right direction, or you have support on site, then point her in that direction. But just listen, no judgment, just listen.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest complaints I hear in my clinic is women say, I just feel like I'm on my own. I've tried explaining this. No one's listening to me. No one really understands. And sometimes, unfortunately, they're talking about their partner or their spouse or their own family, friends. And even if one person can just listen and show some sympathy, it makes a massive, massive difference. So yeah, just do your best, listen, be sympathetic. And if you can, try and put yourself in her shoes and think, well, how would I want to be treated? And even if you can't offer a fix, just that's often enough.
Absolutely.
Point number two is encouraging peer support. So this is really important, actually, because the whole process becomes much easier if you feel like you're understood and supported by those around you. And again, you know, your ladies might not be getting this at home or anywhere else, but if you can help them find it in the workplace, it will make your life and their life much, much easier. So perhaps you could create time and space where women can get together and just have private conversations. If there's a meeting room, that you could let them have one lunchtime a week or one lunchtime a month, and you know, just say that this space is available for you. You won't be disturbed. You can just have a chat, have your lunch, do your thing. That's really good. And you know, just make sure that everyone knows that that time and space is available for them. Catherine?
Hannah, I've got a question. Do you think sometimes it's worth having those spaces for men to have chats about how they support their colleagues in the workplace about menopause and how they may feel comfortable or uncomfortable?
Absolutely. It's, you know, it's hard enough for us ladies, but it's I know that it's difficult for male managers and husbands and partners to understand what's actually going on, and you know, the changes in behavior and you know, all the lovely things that menopause brings us. You know, it does have an impact on the people around us, and it's nice to know that actually you don't need to take that personally. It's just hormones. Often it's like a second adolescence, isn't it, really? So yes, there's definitely a place for men supporting men and men supporting women. But what I would say is to just try and find a way that you can each serve your own needs, and that might not be together.
Yeah.
You know, occasionally you are going to need female colleagues to just say, do you know what, I've lost myself. I'm not sleeping. I'm having these hot flushes that are keeping me awake all night, and I know I'm not performing well at work. And you need to have that interaction. And it's a question of negotiating, I think, and understanding exactly what those needs are, and allowing space for women to talk to women and men to talk to men, and if appropriate, for the two to cross over. Certainly some companies will go in and offer training in the workplace where male colleagues and male managers are invited, and they find that really helpful because they need to understand exactly what's going on and how they can best support in order to get, you know, good performance at work and minimum absenteeism and so on. So yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Perfect.
Okay, so point number 3 is to designate, if you can, a single point of contact for menopause support at work. So some organizations are training menopause champions who go off and they do training with companies like Talking Menopause or Women of a Certain Stage, just so that they have a really good, thorough understanding of what's going on with menopause and how best to support. Not every company is able to do that, but it's a nice thing to be able to do if you can. And then that person becomes the designated contact if an individual needs particular support, or, you know, we need to know where to go to access different clubs or, you know, meetings that would offer that support as well. So Catherine, have you got anything to add to that?
Only that as in a small business, it can be very difficult to find that one person, but there is always one lady that puts her hand up and says, do you know what, it really interests me, and I want to be able to support and be that sort of person that helps other ladies and is there for them, just to listen. Even if, you know, sometimes it might be HR, but sometimes it's nice to get away from HR and just, well, no, even when I say that,
Yeah.
and to be someone else, not necessarily even a first aider, but it's yeah, it's really important that someone takes that sort of thingy on, that channels on, and says, okay, I'd love to be able to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And again, it's the sympathy and the empathy which are more important than the knowledge. And these ladies can get together and say, yeah, I've been through that. Oh, my mum went through that, you know, and it was a really difficult time for us, etc., etc. You know, again, they don't have to have all the answers and all the fixes, but they can share what works for them, and just show a bit of mutual sympathy, which goes a very, very long way. It's all really little simple changes, isn't it? But they make such a huge difference.
Absolutely.
And they don't have to cost the earth either, do they?
No. I think just that whole being listened to and heard is just really important. And yeah, if you have someone you can go to, that you know that you can just go, you know, I need a cup of tea, I need a coffee, I need to just have a chat, I need to download.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this is over to you. Reasonable adjustments.
Okay, so I've done a little bit of digging, and I've sort of gone via the way I've sort of put it down is via symptoms and then the types of adjustments that businesses can do. Obviously, they're not set in stone, and every business can have their own way of doing things. So hot flushes happen at the most strangest of times and are really a pain in the neck. So types of adjustments you can make. Maps look at assess the lighting and room temperature. I know that sometimes the air conditioning is on full blast and sometimes not on at all. So that's not very helpful. Review seating arrangements. Are you able to sit next to a window? And then maybe make sure that a desk fan is available to you if you aren't able to get close to a window. And perhaps consider dress code and the impact of wearing the uniform that you might have to wear on a day-to-day basis. Then the other thing is a sleep disruption. Could the business look at flexible working patterns, maybe starting later in the day and finishing later at night, or maybe compressing hours, or just working maybe part-time. And then maybe look at exploring working from home. Is it possible to work from home as well as come into the office as more of a remote hybrid type role? Then we come across tiredness and fatigue, which yeah, it does us all in. So are you able to provide a quiet space, facilitate regular breaks so that our ladies or employees can take some time out when they need it, when energy levels are flagging? Consider maybe flexible working patterns, adjust workload, and perhaps allow for greater flexibility in performance management as well. So when you have your annual reviews, just take that into account, that you have been tired, you have been more fatigued. Brain fog is not fun. You go along, even now, me saying about coming along with this, is you do have days when you actually can't remember what you're saying, and write everything down. And then you got the sort of more of a personal thing, fluctuating or heavy periods, provide access to sanitary products, and provide...
Still there?
Yes.
One of us froze in for a second.
Is that me?
I don't know.
Okay. It's me. Provide easy access to toilet and changing facilities for those particular times when you have heavy periods. And then last but not least, anxiety, lack of confidence, panic attacks. See if you're able to hold regular one-to-one discussions with your line manager. Just let them know how you're feeling. Maybe with HR as well, just to let them know that things are not right. And then hopefully, if they're not able to help you enough, or they can also always signpost you to occupational health or a talking therapy or counselling services, which should be able to help you as well. So that's my top tips for adjustments.
Good. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's a funny one, menopause. It's such a big change on so many different levels, and for some women, about 20% of women actually barely notice menopause at all. Around about 20% have hugely debilitating, life-changing symptoms, and not just in terms of their own health, but their relationships as well. So they can find that relationships with spouses break down, children, they find themselves struggling at work, and it can be a complete change, a total disruption of everything. But there are also some symptoms where it's very hard to signpost for, like losing yourself. A lot of women say, I don't know what to put into Google to look for this, but I've lost myself. I've lost my mojo. I feel completely flat. I don't know who I am. And that's inevitably going to impact your ability to do your job properly. But what's the fix? It's not depression. You can't go taking antidepressants for it, because it's not really depression. You've just lost your connection to yourself. And that's really tricky to signpost for, because there's no fix for it as such. It's just a question of being patient and supportive as best you can be in the meantime.
There are some amazing coaches out there, which I know not everyone wants to look at, and actually Facebook groups as well supporting, because there is, when you do hit the menopause, you change as a person. It's not like you're going through puberty where you're going to adulthood, all very exciting. When you hit with menopause, it can be seen that, okay, so you're now a person of wisdom and a person of knowledge, and has been around for a while and knows things, and then but you don't, almost not as grateful for that anymore. It's just, you just lose who your purpose is.
Yeah, it's certainly a very interesting time. I could go on.
I do.
I mean, I don't know where you're at, but for me, I think I've been in perimenopause now for about 9 years. It was as soon as my son was born, and he's now 9. And I realized that, on his 5th birthday, that my baby brain hadn't ever gone. And actually there were other small changes starting to happen. And thankfully I've got a wonderful toolkit. I've got my herbs in my dispensary here, and I honestly couldn't manage without them. I take them every day. And that's what keeps me going and keeps me functioning. And other members of my family, as they've gone through menopause, have actually ended up very ill and having to go to hospital for various reasons. So I'm quite certain I'm not going down that road, and I'm lucky to have all the tools I need to keep me going. But you know, I have days, I've had one day that I've had to completely stop work because the brain fog was that bad. I just couldn't function, couldn't finish a sentence, didn't know who I was talking to, and so on. And it's really awkward. There's a lot of pride that comes into it as well, particularly if you are the one that everyone goes to for help and advice, and actually you can't even remember the name of the person you're talking to. They're not going to say, I'm sorry, I've just totally forgotten who you are. I know I've known you for 20 years, but I can't remember who you are, because that's what, you know, you're going to lose all credibility and all respect. And it's really scary as well, because you think, well, and like, am I getting dementia? Is this a permanent thing? Am I now completely dysfunctional and no use to anyone? And it has a big impact on your self-confidence as well. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting journey, but on balance, I'm actually finding it also very empowering, very life affirming. You know, I feel like I'm consolidating everything I've learned over the years and repackaging it into something bigger and more beautiful to take out to the rest of the world at some point. And I get little flashes of inspiration on what that might look like, but I'm not fully in that mode yet. And it's, menopause always used to be highly revered. You know, menopausal women were highly respected for their wisdom and their life experience and for what they could bring to the community around them. And I would really love to see us go back to a time where that happens. But I think it needs to start with each of us as we move through menopause. We need to be respecting ourselves more. We need to be having stronger boundaries and taking better care of ourselves. And then that will sort of ripple out into the rest of the world. But we can't expect respect if we don't respect ourselves.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think we need to be proud that we've reached this wonderful age or part of our life where, you know, we have the wisdom and we can share it, and let us be the wise women, the wise people, and to share everything that we've learned over the years, and bring menopause out to everyday conversation where it's not hidden or spoke about in, you know, in corners of offices and whispered, oh, she's going through change or whatever it may be. It's like, actually, you know what? This is what I am, this is who I am, and I'm embracing it.
It definitely has its gifts. It has its curses, but it has its gift as well. And I think if we can just try and look at the end game that we're all aiming for, it just makes it a lot easier. And, you know, it's not a disease, it's not an illness, it doesn't need medicating with a very few exceptions. It's just a normal, natural process where you're moving from the second phase of life into the third. It's like another adolescence. And that's all it is. You know, it's a perfectly normal thing. And I know there are a lot of scare stories out there around menopause, and that's mostly what they are. If you unpick them and look behind them, that's all they are, scare stories. So it's important to kind of protect your mindset as well as anything else, because you don't want to be in that space where you feel disempowered and like you know your life is over. It really isn't. You know, this is not a new thing. Our ancestors have gone through this for a very long time, and we'll do the same.
No, absolutely.
So in terms of signposting, it's again a question of listening. If a woman says to you, I'm struggling with my menopause symptoms, I've been to my GP, they don't believe I'm going through menopause, I'm up for looking at other options, what are there? You could say, okay, well, there are private menopause doctors, private menopause nurses, you could ask for a gynecology referral, etc., etc. She might come back and say, actually, do you know what, I had a stroke when I was 30. I don't really feel that HRT is the right option for me. Menopause doctors and nurses are not going to be the right place for her. Someone like me would be more helpful. And I offer natural alternatives to HRT. So it's a question of listening. We can send you a list of useful links if you would like one. Just contact either of us with your email address, and we will be more than happy to send that over to you. But hopefully you found that helpful. I'll just share the screen with our contact details on so that you can find out where to get in touch with us if you would like to. So Catherine is from Purely HR. You've got her email address and phone number there.
Yep.
You're on everything, aren't you, as well? You're on LinkedIn, and have you got other social media channels as well?
Mainly LinkedIn for
Okay.
Purely HR. Yeah, absolutely.
And do you offer any sort of easy access way in to explore what you do in terms of menopause in the workplace?
Yes, if someone wants, if you want to know more, I can do a free menopause health check, HR health check for you. Send out a little form and see how you're doing. And if you need any support you need on the HR front, then just drop me a line. Lovely,
thank you. So I'm Hannah from Physic Health Consulting. I am all over the place. So my website is at www.physichealth.uk. There's lots of resources on there, free downloads. There's a quiz where you can see how perimenopausal you are. There's blogs and video links and all sorts of things. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm on LinkedIn. And I have a free group. So they're called Natural Menopause UK, and any woman who's looking for natural ways through menopause is welcome to join in. There's one on Facebook and one on LinkedIn, and it's the same content on each. And I'm also more than happy to offer corporate training with a very positive, empowering spin on menopause. So feel free to contact me and find out more about that as well. But I hope you found this useful. Any questions, obviously contact either of us and we'd be more than happy to help, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.